This is Leilui Nishmat, Miriam Mira Bat Osnat. So the inyanim of Gilgulim. In English it's called what? Resurrection. Which means that, as you all know, the body doesn't just disintegrate and it's done, it's gone. The body does, but the neshama is eternal, and it stays forever, and it actually goes back to Borei Olam. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing for the neshama. So really, if we're talking about avelut, when we're talking about somebody who's becomes avel lo alenu, he mourns those that are lost, really, the Mefarshim explain that the mourning is not for the person himself that is not here anymore, but rather it's for ourselves, it's for our own loss. We're trying to overcome our own loss. But the neshama that passed away is rejoicing in a much higher level and much greater place. And therefore, we're not sorry for the neshama, but rather for us that we lost a friend, we lost a family member, and so on and so forth. But today we're speaking about Gilgul Neshamot. By the way, I have a series on shiurim on Gilgulei Neshamot. I'm not going to repeat things that you can actually go, let's say, to Torah anytime, and you just put Gilgulei Neshamot and listen to them. I bring the sources to that from the Rishonim already, from the Ramban, from Rabbeinu Bechaye, from different places. The Unkulus hints to it. It also, in later poskim, they bring down actually the din of Yibum. Yibum, you all know what's Yibum. Yibum is that the Torah in Parashat Kitzetzeh says if a person passes away before he has any children, his wife, he got married, but they didn't have yet any children. So his wife needs to be mityabemet, which means she needs to marry his brother. Either marry his brother or get chalitza, which means he releases her. But she's bound to his brother. Why is that? It says over there, Ki lo yivne et bet achiv, which means he builds the house of his brother. What does that mean, build the house of his brother? So the Ramban says, Rabbeinu Bechaye, the Mefarshim explains, the Malbim speaks about this when he deals with the story of Naomi in the Sefer of Ruth, and the Ruth had such a thing with Boaz, but that's not our topic today. I just want to mention the idea is is brought down in the Torah Kedosha that when a brother takes over the widow, he builds his brother's house. What does that mean? The Mefarshim explains that it means that the house, the person himself, needs a continuation. Where's the continuation? In a child that would be born within the family to his widow, with a family member, with his brother. In previous times before that, even a family member, close family member, would be able to do the ibum, but the Torah then limited it only to the brother. So this was a known thing throughout, that this is the way this is the way you bring forth the continuation of a person when he passes away without a child. Now it's very, very important to have a child because that's a continuation of a person. Really, in reality, a person is who his father is. When we say like father, like child, it's not just like father, like son. It's not just in similarities, but in Torah aspects, it's much more than that. It is the same person himself, especially if we're dealing with Yibum. It's the same neshama itself that continues. That's why you see many times that after a person passes away, they name a child that was born in the family the same name of that passed away. By Ashkenazim, the makpid, not to name after a father or a mother unless they passed away. So if they pass away, many times that's the continuation, and you can really sense that they usually have same nature. They have a lot of similarities to a grandparent, to a grandmother, or a grandfather that passed away. So the idea is based very, very well within the Torah, in the stories of the Torah and the stories of the Nevi'im themselves. What we like to touch today is on different ideas about this and try to explain what's the purpose of Gilgulei Neshamot. Why is it that a Neshama comes back? So Gilgul Neshamot, within the, if you want to take a look and learn well about this, you have to know how to learn Kabbalistic terms and ideas. But from what the Mefarshim explain in more simple terms, we can withdraw some of those ideas to us. So Gilgul normally is not a good thing for the Neshama. A Neshama rather just be resting in a higher place with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in its destined place where it reaches. But sometimes a person, while he's here, he doesn't complete his tikkun. Tikkun means every person comes to this world to do something, to complete something. The Arizal, which was the expert on Neshamot, expert in Kabbalah, is the greatest Mekubal, explained to us that all people since his generation, that's 500 years ago, all people in his generation and going forward are all Gilgulei Neshamot. Nobody's a new Neshama. So if we're talking about us, we are all Gilgulu. We are all visitors here for the second time, third time, or maybe much more than that, multiple times. We were here before, we're coming back again, just with a different type of body, but the same Neshama. When we're talking about Neshama, many times a Neshama is not just one entity. It rather sparks of a Neshama that continues in different ways, not necessarily one Neshama that continues to the next body after it passes away. So Gilgul Neshamot is not necessarily a positive thing because it comes to complete something it didn't do in the previous lifetime. And usually it's a tsar for the neshama. It's not something that's pleasurable for the neshama. It's rather something that's extremely painful to the neshama. The Chafetz Chaim explains this beautifully in a mashal, in a parable that's worth saying. The Chafetz Chaim explains, he says a parable, Kedarko B'Kodesh, he always explains things that way with stories. There was a man that left his family and his city and went very far away to make business. He needed to make money. Previous generations, if you couldn't make in your parnasa within your city, within your village, so you had to go somewhere else to bring parnasa home. You have to feed a family. So therefore, this person went far, far away to the other side of the world. It took months for him to get there. It wasn't like today. You take an airplane, you're there with a few hours. It would take months, either with a sheep or with caravans, whatever it is. And indeed, he went over there and he was very successful. He made a lot of money and wealth, and he was ready to come after many years. He was ready to come back home, happily ever after, living with his family. And before he took his one-way ticket on a ship, on a boat, the people there told him, just make sure you don't leave behind any debts, you don't owe anybody anything. And he was like dismissing them. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about anything. All good. He took all his wealth and he was heading back home. Again, it took months and months until he came back home. He arrived finally to his city. When he arrived to his city, you have to go, like every time you go in an airplane or in a boat or whatever it is, or you go to a different city, you go to a different country, you have to go through custom and you have to go to the border and there's agents. And he had to do that as well. But behind the border, he saw the family, all the family were waiting for him. They knew he was coming. He sent them a letter, and they were all there waiting for his arrival. Finally, they didn't see him for many years. He was very excited. They were very excited. He was bringing them a lot of good things with the wealth that they didn't have for so many for all the time. They never had anything. They lived very poorly, and now finally he was doing very well. Everybody was rejoicing, very happy, but before he goes in, he has to go to the agents on the border, to the custom. And when they look at his papers, they see that there's red lights over here, some things that don't work out well. They see that he owes somebody money in the old town where he came from. And therefore, he's not allowed to come into the place until he resolves his issue. He's going to have to go back. He tries to beg with them, he tries to plead with them, he tries to do different things, but nothing helps because law is the law. And the law says that whenever you are in debt in the old city where you came from, you're going to have to go and resolve that, pay it, and come back. It was really, really painful for him, not being able to see his family, only from very far. They were able to greet each other, but he was not able to see them at all. They didn't even allow them to meet each other, and he had to go back a few months again, all the way, just to pay his debt and come back, just for that debt that he had over there. And this really, what the way Chafetz Chaim explains Gilgulei Neshamot. Gilgulei Neshamot is coming back to pay something, to do something we didn't do up to now, and really, it's something that causes the neshama a lot of aggravation, a lot of tsar. The neshama doesn't want it. The neshama rather be in the next world, even Gehenom. That's a terrible, terrible thing. Is better, the Mefarshim explain, than the Gilgulei Neshamot. At least in Gehenom, a person suffers, but in the end of the day, after he pays his duty, so to speak, with the suffering, with the Gehenom, at least then he fixed what he needed to fix, and he's able to go to his destination. But otherwise, he can't do that. So, why would a person come back with Gilgul Neshamot? And again, we speak in practical because we are all, as the Arizal said, Gilgulei Neshamot. We here as with a mission to fix something that we have done wrong. So we explained that the reason is because we missed out either on a mitzvah taseh that we didn't complete last Gilgul, or because of a sin that we made that we didn't fix. So how do you fix a sin? You all know that if you sin, you do teshuvah. You have an opportunity throughout your life. You do teshuvah. It's not something that a person has to carry with him. A sin is a stain on the neshama, and it's very needed to erase that sin, that stain. And the way you erase it is with the aspect of teshuvah. Another reason that one could be that he's coming back here is because he caused others to sin. When you cause others to sin, that is even worse than a person himself sinning. Because if he does this through many people, it's considered mahti harabim. In today's technology, it's so easy to be mahti harabim because you could say something that is wrong, or you can do something that is wrong, or you can record yourself in a way, let's say, that is not modest, and it goes around to thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and it causes a lot of destruction in the spiritual worlds. So therefore, that could be much worse than one person sinning himself. When you do something yourself within your own privacy, that's a sin, fine. But then there's an ability today, as I explained, that you're doing that and you're taping yourself. Today, the sickness of this generation is that a person could sit in his own privacy, in his own room, but for some reason, everybody loves to tape themselves in their own room, and then they send it out throughout the world, for everybody, for the whole world to see how they look like, what they're doing, what they're saying. And it's really nonsense because there's no purpose in that. If you're doing something that is constructive, fine, but if it's not so, it could be very, very destructive, and it could cause a lot of things that should not be done. So then there's also something that is interesting, that a person could be that is coming back in order to get married to his own shidduch, his own partner. In other words, it could be that in the previous generation, he was supposed to get married to somebody, or she was supposed to get married for somebody, and this shidduch was hers or his, but for some reasons that are not really good reasons, they let go of that shidduch, that person that they were supposed to build a family with, and he or she stayed behind, or she got married with somebody else. And when you do that, the connection of these two people are void, and they are needed. Everything in the world is with a purpose. Everything in the world is needed for something. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a person, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, even Adam HaRishon, he created Chava from Adam HaRishon. They were one entity. Chava was one entity with Adam HaRishon, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu took a tzela from Adam HaRishon and created Chava from that tzela, which means she's not a creation by itself. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't take men and he created him, and then he took another and he called it woman and he created her, and he met them together and they got married and they formed a family. No, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created only men, only Adam HaRishon. And from Adam HaRishon, he took a tzela, he took a piece of Adam HaRishon, and from that he formed a woman. Why is that? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu work like that? Why couldn't he just create two people, just like he did, for instance, with all other animals? It's only mankind that's like that. But for instance, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a cow, he created an ox, he created a cow, and he married them to each other, and they got together, and they made and they met each other. But he didn't create, HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't create an ox, and from that he took a tzela and he created a woman. Why did he do that with mankind? Because mankind is very different. A man and a woman that's made for each other, they're really one unit. It's one entity. It's not different entities. I explained that last week with the kruvim. I said by the kruvim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know what's a kruvim? Kruvim are the two figures that were in Kodesh HaKodashim that made out of gold. And there were figures on top of the kaporet, everything from gold. So the Torah says miksha, it needs to be one piece. Both kruvim, both figures with the wings, they had to be made from one piece together with the base. What does that mean? They took a large piece of gold and they crafted from that by hammering the two figures. They could have taken one figure and then another figure, putting it on a base and attaching it. It will be the same results in the end of the day. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rashi says, don't do it that way. Don't take one figure and second figure and put it there. No. You have to take one piece of gold and take out from there all the outside and leave only those two figures standing. What's the idea behind it? So I said that it seems like, since Chazal said that those kruvim, there's different opinions what those two kruvim represent. But an opinion in Chazal is that these two kruvim represent man and his wife, a man and a woman. And it comes to show a relationship between the two. Actually, also Chazal say that one represents HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the other kruv represents Am Yisrael. And therefore there's two psukim that contradict each other. One pasuk says that the two kruvim faced each other, while the other pasuk says that they faced away from each other. So which one is it? Which one is it? They faced away from each other or they faced each other? So Chazal explained that it depends on the relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Am Yisrael. When the relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Am Yisrael was healthy, it was good, it was a loving relationship, Am Yisrael were close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so then they faced each other. But when they didn't, when Am Yisrael was sinning, they faced away from each other. But that shows you an interesting thing. We think that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu faces away from us and we face away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then that's it. We can separate the bond and go each his own way. But we see no. That's why the Torah says that it needs to be one entity. It's one piece. You can't separate when it's one piece. If it will be two pieces and you attach one here and one there, so whenever they're happy, you can put them back together. When they're not happy, so you separate them and each one goes his own way. But when it's one piece, one entity, you can't do that. Same thing with a man and his wife. If we realize that a man and his wife are one entity, and really the wife is made as Chava from the tzela of Adam HaRishon, so therefore it's one. So even at bad times, that things are not going well, still they are connected because they are one. And therefore, even if they face away from each other, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that you break the bound and each one goes his own way. But rather, they are still connected and they still are one, even at those times. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu can face away from Am Yisrael and still stay there connected and waiting for better times, so does a couple, man and his wife, could do the same thing. And therefore, how does it come back to us? Comes back to us, as it says over here in the Sefer Or Yakar, that one of the reasons a person might come back as a Gilgul is because he let go of his own shidduch. He didn't build a family with the right woman or with the right man. That's a purpose for a person to come back because there's something really missing there. There was a family that was supposed to be coming out of that union. But this is something that has to do, it's an interesting concept, that it has to do much more with men than women, because the Mefarshim really say that women don't come back in Gilgulim, or at least it's very uncommon for a woman to come back in Gilgulim, and there are different remazim, hints, that the psukim say to that, and the Mefarshim say, for example, that it says, דור הולך ודור בא, אלה הזכרים, ההולכים ושבים בגלגול. והארץ, it says over there, לעולם עומדת. The הארץ, the land stands forever. Generation comes and goes, but the land stays forever. What does that mean? The Mekubalim explain that this pasuk comes to tell us that דור הולך ודור בא is referring to males. That they go and they come back in a resurrection, in a Gilgul. But a woman, the Aretz, woman refers to a woman. A woman is the one that really represents the land. She's there in the house. She takes care of all earthly things that the family needs. She cooks for them. She takes care of the clothing. She takes care of the family. She takes care of the house. Where's the husband? The husband, if he's learning, he's more in spiritual things. You wanted to say something?
Yeah,
yes.
I thought I heard something, I'm not sure. Children, if someone dies as a child, I thought maybe they might have said that they might have been a Gilgul, that they only need to do something for a short time or something. Is there such a thing?
So we explained that everybody's, again, now I'm trying to limit that maybe not ladies, but everybody are actually a Gilgul, whether they are older or younger, but they do say that the Mekubalim, that if a person dies young, if he dies young, he dies early, that could be very much because he fulfilled his tikkun. He doesn't need to be here. A person doesn't need to be here. Physically, we think that when we look at this world, a person should live until 120. That's the right way. That's the correct way. That's a pleasurable way. That's the beneficial way. But the truth of the matter is that there's not only the physic of the person, the body itself, which is physical, but also a neshama. And the neshama, as the Mesilat Yesharim says, is chelek eloka mimal. It wants to come back to its own destiny. It wants to come back to where it belongs. It belongs with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, the neshama doesn't want to stay here. Therefore, thus, if a person completed his tikkun, he did what he needed to do in this world, why should he stay? He doesn't want to stay. So it's beneficial for him. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu does a favor for him to go out of this world early. It says in various places in the Torah, ve'enenu, he's not here. Rashi says why? There's Parashat Bereshit, it's brought down. Why is that? The reason is that a person could sin. Haya kal le'arshia, Rashi says. A person could easily sin in this world. So therefore, if you completed your mission here, what's the purpose of staying? You can only lose out. That could be the reason why a person might leave this world early. Let me just go back to this idea that women could be, they're not part of the Gilgulim aspect, because it says also another hint to that. It says in the pasuk, and kolel yifal el pa'amayim shalosh im gaver. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings back, according to the way it's explained within that pasuk, pa'amayim shalosh ifal kel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu works with a person. He does so with a person. Which one? Pa'amayim shalosh, twice or three times in gaver, with a man and not with a woman. Also Shlomo HaMelech says, Adam echad me'elef matzati, v'isha bechol ele lo matzati. I found 1,000 men, says Shlomo HaMelech, but I didn't find one woman. What is he referring to? So there's different explanations to that. But according to the way the Cholat Ahava explains, he says that that's what it means. That 1,000 men come back in Gilgulim. You can easily find men that come back in the new neshama, in the new body, same neshama in the new body again. But isha bechol ele lo matzati. One woman doesn't come back. Not even one woman out of 1,000 men come back with a Gilgul. So the question would be, obviously, what's so special about women that they don't need to come back? As we said before, that coming back in a Gilgul is not necessarily a positive thing. It's a negative thing, because a person doesn't want to come back in a Gilgul. He rather complete his mission and go to his own destiny in the next world. But why would he come back here? Only reason we come back here is to fix what needs to be fixed, what needs to be taken care of, what was missing, what we didn't do in the last Gilgul. So there's different reasons that the Mefarshim say, and let's quote them. One of the reasons is because a man has extreme obligation, extreme high obligation in this world, and that is to learn Torah. Learning Torah is the purpose of this world. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world for the purpose of learning Torah. The whole world, Bereshit, the Torah starts. What does it mean, Bereshit? Bishvil Reshit. What does it mean, Bishvil Reshit? There's three perushim in the first Rashi, the second Rashi, in Chumash, and one of them is Bishvil Torah shenikret Reshit. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world for the Torah. So who's the one that has to keep up to that high mission? It's the men. Men are obligated to learn Torah. Women are not obligated to learn Torah. And therefore, for a man to miss on his mission, to fail what he needs to do, it's much easier, and therefore man comes back in a Gilgul and not a woman, because a woman, for a woman mission is to make sure that her family are fine, that she just needs to do every effort that she can, that her husband and children will learn Torah. If the husband doesn't end up learning Torah, but she did her part, if her children doesn't end up going to yeshiva, but she did her part, it's not her fault. She's not responsible for that. She's only responsible taking her effort. But a man now has an obligation of going to yeshiva or going to shul, whatever his schedule is, and really sitting down and learning very, very good. He has to put effort into it. He has to work hard. So in that, since the obligation is so high, a person might miss that and lose out, and therefore he needs to come in a Gilgul. Another thing that is brought down, which is interesting, is the fact that that women are patur for mitzvah taseh shazman grama. So that gives them a certain leniency, a certain discount, so to speak, that they don't have to worry so much about the mitzvot, and that it's much easier for them to fix those things that they need to fix. Okay. And therefore, also, the Ben Ish Chai brings down in Ben Yoyada that men also are much more likely to fail in sins that has to do between men and women. They're much more likely to commit all kinds of sins, and therefore that's a reason, another reason to come back in a Gilgul in order to fix those ideas that he didn't in the previous Gilgul. He has to fix it. So now one might think to himself and try to see, why is it, what is my tikkun? We explained that a person comes back to fix something that he was missing last Gilgul. He didn't do it, he didn't complete his job, he was not perfected in something that he needed to do. But when we come to this world, nobody gives us a report card that this is what you need to fix and this is what you need to do. If it was, it would be wonderful. You fail your class, so your teacher tells you failed history, you have to do better. So very good. So now you're going to study extra your history sheets and come back more prepared. But when we come to this world and we know, as we explained, that we failed in the previous world, in the previous Gilgul, what is our failure? We don't know. Why we don't know, by the way? We don't know anything spiritual. The reason we don't know and see anything spiritual is because otherwise there would be no nisayon. That's obvious, right? If you see that there's a next world, if you would see the next world, there would be no nisayon, no test. Everybody would do their best on everything. Why? Because you see the end result. You see that there's people that are being punished and people that are getting reward. We have to believe that. We have to believe that. That's much harder. If we would see that when we sin, we get punished, we wouldn't sin. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't punish us right away. He does not. He waits a very long time. It could wait 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and then you don't connect the dots. This happened because something that happened 20 years ago. You don't connect the dots. The reason you don't connect the dots is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want to do it obvious. If he would, there would be no nisayon, no test. Same thing with rewards. If we would get rewards immediately for everything we do, there would be no nisayon. Of course, everybody would do everything they can. That's the way it works. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't show us, he hides. He hides himself because he wants us to work on our emunah. That's the way it is. So still there are some ways to discover the sense of what the tikkun we need to do. And this is how the Mefarshim explain. They say that a person that comes back to this world could sense what's his tikkun by seeing what does he see that's extremely hard for him. Something that's extremely hard for you. A person feels that it's extremely hard for him. He walks down the street, and every time he passes by the I don't know what, a restaurant, let's say he passes by McDonald's. Wow, the smell just takes him away. He just has to fight every time he passes through the doors of McDonald's, and he sees inside the goyim licking their fingers, and everybody's smiling, and there's a long line on the takeouts of cars, and everybody's waiting for their turn. Obviously, it's got to be very good. If there's 20 cars waiting, there's got to be something very, very good in there, and he just have a fight with himself every time he passes through McDonald's. Yeah, that's an example. That's probably what he felt in the previous Gilgul. Why is that? Because everything that we do in this world has an impression on our soul, on our neshama. It has an impression. Whatever we do in this world, we cause the neshama to feel it, and that feeling stays. There's a memory within that neshama, just like you have a muscle memory. Anybody heard of muscle memory? Which means, let's say you worked out, and you build yourself muscles, and you worked out very, very hard, you lifted weights, and it was extremely hard for you, and then you stopped working out. This was for half a year. You worked out and you built yourself muscles and you look very, very good. And then you stopped for 2 years. 2 years afterwards, you go back to work out, and all of a sudden it becomes much easier, and all of a sudden your muscles pop out much quicker. Why is that? Because there's a muscle memory. The body remembers that whenever you work out, you have to build muscles. And therefore, your muscles pop out much quicker and the workout is much easier. This is the way it works, not only with that, with everything. And therefore, there's something called in psychology association. When one had something, whether it's good or not good, let's say you had a great time when you went to a certain vacation. You went to Miami, you had a great time in Miami, mamish, like beyond, and that's it. But you come back to New York and everything's forgotten. You always, when you come back to and you make that trip again to Miami, just by the airport already. You just landed by the airport. Could be even before. You just went to Newark airport just to take the flight to Miami. Not even there yet. You didn't even leave yet. You're still in snowy Newark. You're not yet in sunny Florida. You're already feeling good and you're feeling like all these feelings that you had before. Why is that? It's association. Something that reminds you that right away gives you that good feeling. Same thing with negative feelings. What's wrong with a person that went through hard childhood, let's say an abusive childhood? He's everything he associates with that same abuse. It becomes very, very hard to live your life. So therefore, when he tries to form a relationship, it's very hard for him because he associates this relationship with something very abusive or something very hard that happened at his early childhood. So that is called association. That is something that within the memory, even if you don't know, it's stuck in there. And that's how you take it out when you calm a person down and you could really bring out all the memories forth. So one of the things that is left within the neshama, it's engraved in the neshama, is what happened in the previous Gilgul. The neshama was constantly doing a certain sin. Let's say, for example, to continue the example we said before, it would always sneak out from yeshiva to buy themselves a hamburger from McDonald's. That's it. Every time they couldn't avoid that temptation. They would go to McDonald's. Nobody would know. They would go get a burger from McDonald's, enjoy that, and that's it. Everything else, they were very religious and good. But that feeling, that taste, that experience stays within the neshama, and therefore, when the neshama comes around to a new Gilgul, to a new aspect, what happens then? You feel it again. You feel it again. And you have that test again. And you have that nisayon again. And therefore, that nefesh, that soul, is telling you that this is what was wrong in the previous Gilgul. And therefore, we came to fix that very thing within this Gilgul. But you might ask the question, what's the chesed that everything HaKadosh Baruch Hu does is chesed. Everything is for our own good. What's good of coming again to this world if we didn't fix something last Gilgul? You give us another chance, but very good, we'll have another chance. But it could be that we're going to destroy more than we will be able to do good. Could be that, indeed, we're not going to go and buy McDonald's, and we're not going to sin with that sin again. But it could be that we'll do much worse things. As we explained before, it could be we'll go on the media and tape ourselves doing the wrong things and send it out to the entire world. Say some things that are lashon hara and send it out to the entire world. All kind of things that people do today. So what did I gain? So over here we have something that the Mefarshim explained, which is extremely important for those that are interested in the Gilgulim, and that is that a Gilgul is actually coming only to fix whatever the neshama didn't fix in the previous circle, in the previous time, which means anything that comes down is the nefesh has two aspects in it. It has a nefesh that's coming to fix something, and it has something that came already fixed, something that already completed in the previous Gilgul. And that very neshama that was fixed already can't get ruined again. It's only the new thing that needs to be fixed. That goes to the, again, through the nisyonot and everything. So if it fails, it's only that thing that is already ruined, that thing that is already not good, that thing that is only trying to fix something, that part could sin, or the sin would have an impression on that only. And therefore, the chesed would be that whatever was fixed already previously stays fixed forever. The new part is what is going through the tikkunim. Let's stop with this. There's a lot more to speak about this. We're going to take questions. Now, the questions that we're planning to take Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach are on any topic. Doesn't have to be on the topic of Gilgulim. So therefore, feel free to ask. Not that I know the answers. Let me give you first of all heads up. I don't know the answers, but it opens a discussion, and maybe I have some ideas of what we can discuss. Yes. Oh.
You mentioned that women don't get reincarnated. So doesn't it also mention that that our souls are tied to our husbands? So doesn't that mean our husbands make mistakes?
What a question! Wow, you hear that? That's a question you ask in yeshiva. It's a lomdish question. Okay, the question is like this. She wants to know that we said women don't need to come back in Gilgul. But she's asking, didn't I say also that a woman is not independent, she's part of her husband. It's one entity. So what do you mean? You have to decide, is she part of the husband and she Look, it's a catch-22 question. But I think what it really means is that what I try to explain is that there's two entities that are connected, but those two entities are not one. It's not partnership on everything. It's partnership on some things. In other words, if a man sins, his wife is not going to get punished. Why don't you punish the wife for the husband's sins, or punish the husband for his wife's sins? It doesn't work like that. The partners, they're together, they're one entity, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu separated them. So therefore, when he separated them, each one is responsible for himself. So you do things as a partnership, as together, but of course, each one is by his own, is responsible for himself, and maybe he's responsible also to take care of the other and make sure that the other would also succeed and be good. But in the end of the day, it's totally, Chazal call it Nashim Am Acher. That's how it is in Gemara Shabbat, which means women are totally different nation than men. There's a lot of different nations, and Chazal separate the nations of men and women from each other. Two different nations happen to be that those two nations can live together. Some nations can live together, as you all know. They have to live each one by himself. But in New York, everybody's mingled, everybody lives together. This is how men and women live together. That's why some say that you can live with it's impossible to live with. How do they say it? You can't live with them and you can't live without them. So that would properly summarize it good. I didn't say that. You said that. Yes.
You said that people have to come back if they say no to their zivug because they're meant to be. But don't they have free will? Meaning there's a consequence of zivug.
Right.
So if I have free will and I say no, why would I have to come back if I said no?
Yeah, free will means that you could do, again, let's just say the question. She wants to know, you have a free will, so therefore, why would you have to come back if you didn't pick out that shidduch? You had a shidduch, you went out with him, he looked like exactly the person that would be perfect for you. Everything matched or doesn't have to match. I'm not going into what needs to be a shidduch and what's not. But you said no. Why? Because he didn't like his car. What is this? He comes with a Ford. Today, who drives a Ford? So he didn't like that, and you gave him up. And sure enough, after 3 years, he hits the lottery, or I don't know what. He becomes a big businessman, and you're scratching yourself. Well, why didn't you marry him? But that's a different point. So he wants to know, but you have a free will. Yeah, free will. That's exactly what we're talking about. You have a free will to do the right things or to do the wrong things. And you decided based on whatever you decided to do things, and that is your free will. But are you doing the right decision? When do we know if we do the right decision? We have to disconnect ourselves from what we need. We have to disconnect our will, our desires from what we do. Whose desire we have to follow? HaKadosh Baruch Hu desire. I'm here to do what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Happened to be that what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, it didn't have to be like that. It could have been that whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants is something that is not good for me. I would still have to do whatever he wants because he's the king. 1 minute. But happened to be that what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants is also good for me. It's just like a child. When my son decides that he wants to go out at 11 o'clock at night and walk to his friend, and I know walking in 11 o'clock at night in New York is not the best idea. Take the train, the subway at 11 o'clock at night is not the best idea, but that's what he wants to do. So I'm looking out for him because I love him and I know what that I'm trying to teach him and direct him the best way. That is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's trying to teach us the best things that are for us. And part of that is he gives us the free will to not listen and do whatever we think it's good for us. At the moment we have a certain desire to do a certain thing and not necessarily that that's a good thing. So free will only gives us the ability to do whatever we desire to do, but not necessarily that we chose correctly. There was a question over there.
I wanted to ask you, with Gilgul Neshamot, does it happen to be like, is it only that a person can come back as a person, or is it possible that a person can come back as an animal?
Yes. So a person could come back. Everything I'm telling you right now is written in the Sfarim. It's not, it's things that are pretty clear in the Sfarim that speak about Gilgulei Neshamot. And a person could come back in a Gilgul of an animal. He could come back in a Gilgul of a plant. He could come in a Gilgul of domem, something that's not a plant, something that's not, I'm sorry? Inanimate. Okay, whatever it is. But listen to me. What's the difference? The difference is that there's a big difference if a person comes back as a person, as a human, or comes back in a Gilgul of something else. Why? Because when you come back as a person, you have the ability and the opportunity to fix the things that you had to fix before. When a person is coming back in a Gilgul in a tree, for example, so he's stuck in a tree, it's like being imprisoned in a tree until his punishment. It's a form of punishment. It's a form of correction, right? When a person goes to Rikers Island, what's the purpose of that? They call it correction. That's why they call the cops over there correction officers. What are they correcting? He's coming to fix his punishment. They're correcting something? No, he's just he's doing his time. That's called correction, and they're called correction officers, right? So the inmate are really fixing something. That's what happens when a person's stuck in a tree. Now, this is something that's really happening because you know that Birkat HaIlanot that we do in Chodesh Nisan, the Mekubalim say the purpose of why we make such a big deal of Birkat HaIlanot, it's Birkat HaNe'enin. It's just like anything else that the Torah, that Chazal tell us, the Halakha tell us, that if you see, you say bracha on it. For example, you see Ayam HaGadol, you say bracha. You see certain things, you see certain, you go to Niagara Falls, for instance, you say bracha on that. It's something that elevates the person. Spiritually, you feel, wow, it's pa'alut. So why don't we all go there, make a big deal out of it? What's the inyan by Birkat HaIlanot that everybody goes to do Birkat HaIlanot? So the Mekubalim explain because the Neshamot are stuck in there, and when a person does the bracha and Birkat Ilanot, that's why you go out to the Sadeh. Why you go out to the Sadeh? It says, Hayotze comes out. What does it mean come out? Machloket, if it has to be, if you could do bracha at all in the city, or maybe you have to come out to the field. Why? Because in the field there's more Neshamot. Whenever a person goes out, this, in each tree, fruit tree, there's much more neshamot. You say the bracha, you fix those neshamot, you elevate them, you take them out of prison, so to speak. You take out prisoners. A person could take out prisoners, release prisoners, when he says those brachot. Not only that, when a person says bracha on the fruit or the vegetable, part of many times there are neshamot stuck in there, and that's a form of punishment. Unlike when a person comes back in a form of a human, it's not only a punishment, but it's rather a second chance to fix what he didn't fix on the first time. Yes, more questions. Yes.
So if the fruit that you're eating from, you don't say a bracha, the neshama has to give you the rest again?
You see that? A person, there are stories like this in the poskim, that one who didn't say bracha caused the neshama to go back, and then it goes back unfixed, and then they have to go again and go through the suffering all over again, while it could have been, it was right there, it could have been fixed. It's just like the story of the man that's coming to the border, he's right there, he's ready to cross, and they tell him, no, you have to go all the way back and go through the whole experience again. Yeah.
So what would be the difference between being reincarnated and going to Gehenna? If you're coming to fix something, but Gehenna also fixes something.
Right. So Gehenom is a form of quick fix. A person goes to Gehenom for 12 months. Quick fix. There are different places that different hints that is brought down that one would rather go to Gehenom than go through Gilgul. What's the purpose? Because it's a quick fix. You rather not go through the whole going in this world to the whole thing, go to the whole again circle, then and then maybe you fix it, maybe not. Gehenom is for sure being fixed, and you're done. That's how it's brought down in certain Sfarim. Here, the Ramak says that the Gehenom will cleanse. Gehenom is a cleansing operation thing, like going into a washing machine, and it fixes that. But for example, another thing that should be mentioned also, if you want to know the difference between going to Gehenom and going to a Gilgul, is that Gehenom can only correct sins. It's a form of, just like a tshuva corrects sins, so does Gehenom. It corrects the sin. It cleans the person from the sin. But what about if a person didn't do mitzvot aseh? Every person needs to do mitzvot aseh. The mitzvot aseh, actually, the way the Ma'archu says, he says that every limb of the body has certain mitzvot that connect to it. The Chafetz Chaim in Mishnah Berurah Chelek Gimel, in the Akdama, in the introduction, brings this from the Ma'archu of Chaim Vital. Every part of your body has a certain mitzvah connected to it. Now, the neshama is in the form of your body, which means the neshama has a head and it has the same form. And when you fix that part of the body by doing a mitzvah, so therefore in the next world, the neshama has a complete body. But let's say a person doesn't commit a certain, doesn't perform a certain mitzvah. For example, let's talk about a man. He didn't put tefillin. The tefillin is coming to fix the place around here, between the eyes on the upper head, and also on the arm over here. But one that didn't wear tefillin, it's called Karkafta de lo manach tefillin. The Gemara speaks about this in Rosh Hashanah, Yudchet, extremely harsh, that somebody that doesn't wear tefillin could be losing olam haba, certain scenarios. Why is it so harsh? Because it comes to fix the head over here. The head is not a simple limb. If a person is missing a limb in the next world, let's say he's missing a finger, he's missing a leg, he's missing an arm because he didn't do a mitzvah that has to do with the arm, Like for instance, let's just give an example, lighting Shabbat candles. So you do that with your arms, you do that with your hands. So that enlightens, it gives light, spiritual light to the hand. The next world, you have that hand as shining forever and ever. But if a person doesn't do that, so he's missing that. He has a blemish in his body, in the spiritual body, in the next world. So if a person has a blemish in the head is not just the hand. You can't live without a head. It's a loss of the total body if you don't have a head. Same thing with a heart. If one doesn't have a heart, so there are mitzvot that's connected to the heart. You have to be very careful with those mitzvot. If a person wants to know what mitzvah is connected to what, there's a sefer called Sefer Choredim. He connects everything. What is the mitzvah of the heart? Also the Sharet Tshuva. In Perek Gimel, Sharet Tshuva LeRabbeinu Yonah also brings down the mitzvot atluyot balev, mitzvot atluyot bekavanat, all kind of things. So a person should definitely. So why are we saying that? Because Gilgul Neshamot will give you a chance to do that mitzvah again that you didn't do in the previous Gilgul. But going to Gehenom doesn't do that. Gehenom is a correction facility. You only fix whatever you sinned. In other words, a person doesn't go to Rikers Island because he didn't do a good deed. It's because he did a bad deed. So he goes to a bad deed. He did a bad deed. He did a crime. So he goes to fix that crime. It's a correction place. But if he didn't do a good thing, he didn't do chesed, he didn't help out in the community and did kindness, for that you don't go to Rikers Island. So therefore but the neshama needs it. Where do you get that? In Olam Haba. In the Gilgul. Okay? Yes? Do you die after you complete? So we said before, there could be that one that completed his mission in this world doesn't need to stay, doesn't need to stick around. There's no need for it. It's just a waste of time. Just like a person that's going to I don't know what, he needs to go to the DMV to get license, and he stands in line. It's forever and ever, and all of a sudden a new clerk comes and opens the window, and they let you go right away. So you go and you finish what you need to do. Instead of sticking around for another 3 hours, they let you in and out. Within 10 minutes, you're gone. You go home. So what are you going to say? I'm going to stick around for the next 3 hours. Why should I go home? I like to be here. Nobody looks to be in the DMV sitting there. Just wants to go, finish. So that is what happens with the neshama as well. It finished everything it needs to do. It doesn't want to stick around. There's nothing good in this world. But we are very physical. We think, it's so geschmack here, it's so good here, it's so delicious here. We eat sushi, right? Yes?
Is it true that a person born on Shabbat is the new Neshama and not on Gilgul?
I don't know. Never heard of that. It could be, but I didn't hear of everything. I gave you already introduction that I don't know everything. I can only try to say what I know. Yes?
If I understood correctly, originally you said that some people would rather go to Gilgul as opposed to coming back as a Gilgul, right? But why would they want that? There's like, Rabbi Yehuda Staya talks about in the Patur Rabba Katakela. So why would somebody want to go through that for
Right.
many years as opposed to coming back to Gilgul?
Right. So she's asking what? She's asking, why would a person rather fix his tikkunim in Gehenom rather than come back in a Gilgul? So the Ramak says the following. The neshama prefers to go back to this world, it prefers to go to Gehenom than to come back because of few reasons. One of the reasons we said that you don't know when you come back here whether you fix what you need to fix or not. And therefore it could be that you come in over and over again, and in reality that's what happens. You come back again, and then the neshama comes back again. As I explained, we are all here on Gilgul. So you see that it just doesn't end. The neshama wants to go back. So it's rather just do the fixing once and for all. I'll give you an example, simple example. A person that needs to go, he has a toothache, so there's two ways to treat it. Either don't eat any sweets on that side and brush it very well. It's going to hurt, and it's going to keep on hurting as long as you don't fix it. But you try to deal with it, and you deal with it again and again and again, or just go to the dentist, get with the tooth fixed. You get a root canal. It's more painful at that moment to get a root canal. You get that disgusting taste in your mouth of the shot, and then the shot itself. It's for and the dentists are also very vicious. They don't give you one shot. They go from this side, that side, from all around, and they don't end. And then they start digging. It doesn't end. But it's an experience of half hour, and you're done with it. So that's what Gehenom is all about. In relation to eternity, Gehenom is 12 months. 12 months, it's not even a drop in the water of the ocean in compared to the eternity. So you fix it and you go and you're done. So that is a better thing. Then to keep on coming back again and again, where you don't even know if you fix it. It's an easy fix. Like take it Tylenol. It's just not doesn't fix the problem. That's first of all. Secondly, we explained that could be that you keep on the neshama that you're trying to fix could be that you're ruining it instead of fixing it. You're coming back here. You don't know if actually you are not only fixing, but you're causing even more harm than good. Any more questions, Bohavod? Oh, that's a good question. So I think the way I saw, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, she's asking, can a guy come back as a girl, or the opposite? So I think that since men and women are totally different entity, we called it Am Acher. Chazal called it a different nation, but it's not only words. Man is a different neshama than woman. It's a totally different thing. It's in the Olam Neshamot. Yeah, we live in 2024 when there's no difference between men and women, and everybody can be whatever they want. You decide if you don't want to be even a man and a woman, you can be a tree. If you decide, and they ask you on your license, are you a man, woman, or you can write a tree, and they wouldn't say anything because that's how you identify yourself. But in reality, you're not a tree, and you're not a man, you're a woman, and therefore that neshama of a woman stays within you forever and ever. It's eternity. It can't be changed. Yes. She comes prepared, everything very good.
Whenever you pass, can you there's still people you love down here, can you go to their dreams and stuff and appear there? Do you choose? If someone passes away, can they come to someone's dream?
Okay, so the question is, can somebody come in a dream to somebody else? I have a series of classes called Mystical Creatures. Anybody heard of that? Okay. Besides that, I also have classes on mystical things. It's not under Mystical Creatures, but for instance, I speak over there about dreams as well. And I have two classes. One, the explanation of the Zohar about dreams, and second is from different sources. And over there, I deal with the idea of what would a person that sees different dreams, very scary dreams, how should he deal with that? Is it real? Is it not real? And the Mefarshim, you mentioned Rav Yehuda Fataya, he speaks about this in length, about dreams. And you'll see that really a person should not be involved with dreams too much. If you see something scary in a dream, don't pay attention to it. There are people that keep on dreaming about the Baba Sali coming to them and about all kind of things like that the Chacham Ovadia appeared to them, and he tells them, if you want to hear about different dreams, there's people, it's full in the internet, different rabbis from Israel and around the world that would tell you that Mashiach is coming right away, because they said that all throughout generations. They're saying that. In Corona, they said, that's it, Mashiach is coming this year. It's impossible. They saw in a dream that this tzaddik came to them together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, together with Eliyahu Navi. They said to them, in 2 weeks, Mashiach is coming. Everybody that speaks like that is nonsense. You see that it's nonsense. Mashiach will come whenever Mashiach will come. Nobody knows when Mashiach will come. And if there would be somebody that knows, he would not inform anybody. You have to be very, very careful with that. You have to be careful with something else. Today, there are people, it's very interesting, and they're very popular also. They give them a lot of places to speak, a lot of platforms, gives them, the people that raise their hands like this, close their eyes. You know what I'm talking about? No. No, I see you don't know. It's a good thing you don't know.
Wait, no, they don't say that they could, didn't they say they could take the dibble out or these things?
There's a person that's doing like this,
Oh, my.
and he tells you prophecies.
Yeah.
Don't say.
Fortune teller.
No, fortune teller. There are rabbis looking like rabbis today. That's it. That's every week go on different platforms. No, that's it.
No, the guys that read Mezuzot and tell you
I'm not talking about him. Let's not talk about him. I'm giving you an example. This is all nonsense because this is called a Navi. When you try to do that, is a Navi. And there's no Nevi'im today. And if there would be Nevi'im, there's certain criteria as to what a Navi should have. And those people don't have it. It needs to be extremely Talmid Chacham, to extreme level, all kind of things. No, but that they do for, they tell you, there's going to be a war in Australia and that's going to affect the Middle East. And they're like, closing their eyes. I don't want to mention names. It's all nonsense. And the big rabbis already warned about them. And they said that there are Nevi'ei Sheker and a person should not listen to them. It could be that they're not Navi Sheker because Navi Sheker is not anybody from the street that decides that he knows the future and he tells you all kind of things. Also, Navi has to be somebody that tells you that he spoke to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and this is a message from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, not that he comes to him in intuition when he closes his eyes and raises his hands, but whatever it is. So, what are we saying? When you you asked about coming back in a dream, I don't know about the dreams. It doesn't seem like you have to be involved with such things, especially where I learned in my yeshivot, the Litvak yeshivot, they don't believe in those things, so I wouldn't be an advocate for that. Yes, I think if a person dreams that somebody came to him, it's because he was thinking about him. As Chazal say, En Adam, that's it. En Adam cholem ela mi'urei libo. He wanted him to think, he wanted him to come to him in the dream, so he came to him in the dream. Yes? Do contract with Hashem? Break the contract. What rank contract?
Take their own lives.
Oh, if a person commits suicide. Right. So, a person that commits suicide, there's a lot of things written about such people. Lemaise, in old sources, they used to say that a person that commits suicide, en lo chelek le'olam haba, he loses his share for the next world. But the mefarshim, the poskim, if you take a look at the Ben Ish Chai and Rav Pe'alim, for example, he's one amongst many others, say that to do that is not easy, to actually consider yourself me'abed atzmo ladat, commits a suicide to the point that he loses his chelek le'olam haba. Why? People are sick, mentally sick. Also, but there's different reasons. One of the reasons, for example, that a person right before he passes away, he regrets that. So if he regrets that, it really takes a... So there's things into it. Nafka mina, for example, would a person sit avelut for such a person? It used to be that a person that commits suicide, they wouldn't sit avelut on him. Lemaise, the poskim afterwards said that because of many reasons amongst those that I just mentioned, there is avelut on such a person. Yes? So she's asking, we said that everybody's here by Gilgul. Everybody's here on his relap, on the trip again, second trip, third, fourth, fifth. But on the other hand, we said that women aren't. So you have to decide which one it is. And it could be there's two answers to this question. First of all, not all women are not coming back in Gilgul. It's very unlikely for a woman to come back in Gilgul. So you ask, why there's more women than men in this world? So it could be, that when we're talking about Neshamot, you have to understand, it's not like black and white. It's not like science of black and white. Neshama has sparks to it. It's a lot of sparks, a lot of different aspects to a neshama. So it could be that all the wonderful ladies in the world are only few neshamot of those little sparks of the women that didn't really have the opportunity to fix themselves whenever they did. So it could be that they're not the full neshama that fixed herself already and just left with some things very, very little. Could be there's other answers. I'm not a mekubal, I don't know, but this is how it seems to me. Take it at what it's worth. Yeah. How long do we have more?
This is like 1 or 2 more questions. So like that one.
Okay, you're the chosen one.
How long does it take for you to die until you're reincarnated?
Okay, so there's an ability to have it right away, as we said before. If a person does yibum, it's an opportunity of right away. But you see something very interesting. Chazal say in Yerushalmi, Gemara in Yerushalmi, that if a child was, if a person died to a family and then nolad lahem yeled nitrap'a kol hamishpacha, the whole family got healed. If a child was born to that family that was avelim, that was mourning a loss, the whole family was healed. What does that mean? What do they try to say over here? The idea is, according to what we're explaining, is that the neshama of the person that passed away goes into the newborn, and therefore the whole family was healed because he comes back. He's here again. That's how it needs to be explained. How fast could it be? It depends. You see something very interesting. I don't know if people really pay attention to it, but there's something interesting. As soon as a person passes away, it's very likely that all of a sudden his children have a child right away after. So the coincidence over here is like, something that tells you that there's more than just a coincidence. It could be that it's meant to be like that, so the neshama would come back right away. Yes? I saw that there is, if a person really doesn't do his tikkun, it could be that there's 3 times, some say, but it seems like, as I said, it's not a clear science. There's sparks into a neshama, and the neshama also has more than, when we talk about neshama, there's different aspect called nefesh, chaya, yechida, which is all Kabbalistic terms, but we're trying to simplify it, not because you wouldn't understand, because I don't understand it. Yes? You okay.
Last one, Brandon, take it away. How can a person that passed away go into someone who just gave birth, like the new baby? Like how can the neshama of someone who passed away go into a newborn child? The neshama is there's already a neshama in his stomach.
Oh, very nice. Very good question. Very good question. I think the answer to that question is that, as I said, it's not. We try to simplify things, like we're talking about oranges and apples. Okay, you take from orange from here and you put it here. And so, how can you put the orange here if the apple already existed here? So if you put it here, the apple interferes here. So how does it happen? But when we're talking about the neshamot, which is all spiritual and it's beyond our understanding, and it's something that's extremely hard for us to grasp, I think the ideas over here are not to be explained as such that you take something that existed already differently and you change, and what happens over here. But there are different examples of that in Chazal. Like, for example, as you know, that Dinah was changed in the stomach to Yosef. So they just changed their locations within the stomach. Right? So we see such a thing could happen. And secondly, it doesn't have to be, when we're talking about neshama, there's different aspects about, as I explained, about what neshama really consists. It consists a lot of different parts, and when you take something, you just don't take the whole thing and you put it here, and therefore you have a question what to do with something that was there already before. Well, when you're replacing it, what happens over here? The answer is that there's different aspects to it, there's different parts to it, there's different sparks to it that go in here. It could be that the base was there, is a different type of neshama. Like for example, let's say it was a neshama up to then here, and a nefesh just continues and comes into that newborn. That's it, we're done? Thank you very much. Thank you.